I've called you all here today to discuss a matter of grave importance. There is a plague that has grown out of control, sweeping through youth ministries, virtually uninhibited. We have allowed it to sweep through our ranks, claiming more and more victims. It is time we unite and rise together against this threat to youth pastor kind. My brothers, we must band together in power of our most true cause and say, no more lock-ins.
Did I miss the memo? When did we start hating lock-ins so much? Because I grew up in youth ministry and lock-ins were amazing, or all-nighters, or whatever you want to call them. They were amazing. I mean, if nothing else, we had them every year at New Year's. In some places, we had them all the time. They were great. It was always an amazing time to, one, just hang out with your friends all night. Video games, food, music. There was just so much that was awesome as a kid about these things. And as a youth pastor, yes, I know they can be hard. I've done way too many lock-ins with not enough volunteers and too many students and all this stuff, and it's hard, and as you get older, you're more tired, and I understand. I don't particularly like staying up all night. It's not my favorite thing to do. But first off, lock-ins aren't about you. And if you're not able to stay up all night, just do a better job at planning. Get more leaders. If you're gonna have 30 kids show up to a lock-in, get 15 volunteers to be there. If you just literally can't handle it, go to sleep. The last 2 lock-ins we've done, my wife was pregnant and it just was not safe for her to stay up all night. So at a certain point, she actually went into a side room and went to sleep. I mean, if you need your beauty sleep, if you need that 40 winks every night, have leaders and have shifts and go sleep for 2 hours. Whatever you have to do to make it work. Then ultimately, lock-ins aren't about you. They're not for you. They're for the students. And I've heard the arguments that they're not effective. I just recently read an article where a guy talked about their big events that are, they weren't exactly lock-ins, but they're very similar. And his whole article is how these big grand events like this don't work and how they did them. And that he went through all the numbers and then said, over 3 years, they couldn't attribute any student who had joined their youth ministry because of their big event. Therefore, we need to be more personal and relational and not do these big events. I say, why can't these big events be personal and relational? I mean, personally, that's kind of what I'm doing at a lock-in. I mean, it's a great opportunity to not only get, you got your core students, they're gonna show up, right? And then on that next layer, you've got the students who are on the books, but don't come very often or haven't come in a while. And that's an opportunity to re-engage with them. And they show up and, maybe they haven't been in 6 weeks and you've been messaging them, you've been calling them, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna come this week, or I've been busy with work, or I've been busy with school, whatever it is. They're gonna show up to your lock-in, and there's that whole layer of students that you're gonna re-engage. And best of all, people are gonna bring their friends. People always bring friends to a lock-in. If you have more than 15 kids in your youth group, if you have 10 kids in your youth group, you're gonna have at least one visitor that you don't know. Take advantage of that. I honestly can't comprehend how you can have years of the lock-ins and not be able to attribute any students to that. What that tells me is you're doing lock-ins wrong. Not that they don't work or aren't effective. Okay, bear with me for a minute. All you youth pastors who have a business or a marketing background, and I know there's a lot of you out there, especially the ones listening to this, and for all of you who listen to Gary Vee, which I also know there's a decent percentage of you, which is actually shocking to me when I started this show, but I'm very thrilled to know that I'm not the only weird youth pastor out there who geeks out in the marketing and stuff. When I started my marketing business, and when I was running my marketing business, and when I was running marketing campaigns for clients and doing their marketing, there's this little thing called a sales funnel that you follow, and it has some pretty good results. And hey, the very first thing in that sales funnel is called a lead magnet. And to me, that's exactly what these big events are. It's a free event. It's not a threatening or intimidating event that makes it easy for a student to walk into, not with their friend, not knowing everyone else. That's a hard thing to do, but at a lock-in it makes it an easier thing to come to and a fun thing that inspires them to. That's your lead magnet. That's that whole, you create some guide or some free thing in the marketing world to get an email address. You can start that relationship. Well, you go through all the effort of putting together a lock-in. You stay up all night long, and guess what? You got the proverbial email address. You got to meet the kid. You got to get their name. If you're hustling, you're gonna have their phone number. You have their Snapchat. You're gonna have their Instagram account. You're gonna friend them up on all those so that by the end of the night, and do it then too, because then you can be like, hey man, I was gonna send you. I got this really funny picture of you doing the whatever game. Go ahead and accept my friend request, or hey, add me back on Snapchat. I'll send it to you right now. Get those hooks in, those connections, and then you can build that relationship. And yes, there's a very good chance they're not going to then show up to your youth group again on Wednesday. But that's where you come in as a person, as a minister. You work on them. You work on the friend that brought them to invite them. You're messaging, you're building the relationship, you're finding out what they're into. Oh, they play a ton of Call of Duty? Oh, hey, maybe I play some Call of Duty to play with them. I can get an Xbox Live. Whatever it may be. All-nighters are giving you that opportunity to get in front of a student. And that's all it is, an opportunity. It's up to you then to put in the work and the time and the energy, the emotional energy of learning all about their football team or their favorite video game or their favorite book. Maybe it's a weird kid who actually still reads books and enjoys books. Whatever it is, to build that relationship out. And maybe it takes you 6 months of a couple hours a week with a few of these students, and before you ever get any of them to come back. But guess what? That's called work, my friend. And you are a worker of Christ. Fields are ripe for harvest, and just need some workers. Workers. Put in the work. So yes, it's a lot of work to do these big events, and the reason you feel like they're ineffective is because you're being ineffective in the way you're using them. Alright, well that concludes the rant portion of this video. I want to summarize what I said there into a nice little tactic with a little bow on it for you to make it super easy. So here's the thing. You have your big events. In this case, we're talking about lock-ins. You get at least one new student. 1, 2, 3, that's awesome. But you get at least one new student and you spend time with them. You get a couple of those, that middle layer I was talking about. You re-engage with them. You find out what they've been up to. Oh, they got a new job? Hey, maybe I should stop by. Maybe you're really lucky and it's like a fast food place and you can just happen to stop by for some food. That makes it super easy, right? You're like, oh, hey, Brian, hey, I was eating some food. Oh, got to see you there. Whatever, you stop by. You do whatever it is to re-engage that group. Let me get my words out here. And then, of course, you've got your core students that you also have an opportunity to spend some time with them. But, I mean, just think about it. They're not really your main priority. You're looking for that middle group and that group of new people. Have your leaders entertain the core group for this. But this isn't really a discipleship time for you here, right? Let your leaders entertain them. They got the games. Let them run all that stuff. You got to go re-engage those kids and meet those new kids. And then you're going to put in the 6 weeks, the 3 months, the 6 months, the year of day in and day out, connecting with that student, going to their games, going to their recitals, whatever it is, and that you've built up enough relationship. Obviously, it'd be super creepy and inappropriate to meet a new student at a lock-in and the very next day show up to their dance recital. Don't do that, but begin to build that relationship and as much as possible. And yeah, I mean, it may seem like a crazy concept to spend a year of your life just to get this kid to come back, and you may think like that's not a good return on investment. We'll go back to marketing terms on that all-nighter. But that's a soul, people. That's like a person. And what if that person is like their generation's Billy Graham? And they're going to go out and they're going to, or be some great missionary or something, and they're going to win 100 people to the Lord, 1,000 people to the Lord, 10 people to the Lord in their lifetime. Isn't that worth it? Isn't that worth that year? Or even 6 months or 3 months, or more probably realistically, only like, 6 weeks of engaging and getting involved and building a relationship to get them to come. I'm back to the rant. I can't help it. So that's all I have to say. It's not that lock-ins don't work. It's that you have to put in the work to lock-ins. Have a good follow-up program, and you have to be just passionate and obsessed at meeting every single student and following up with them until they're going to come back. Hey, and look, it doesn't stop there. I kind of was joking about ignoring the core students, but it doesn't stop once they become core students. Then you have to be discipling them. you know, and you've got to keep putting the time with them. It's a little easier with them because you can call up one of your core students and be like, hey, meet me at this thing, or we need to get together. They're like, well, I'm really busy. You're like, no, bro, don't pull that. We're getting together. Do you want me to pick you up after school, or do you want to come to youth early? Like, we got to have a conversation. You have a lot more leeway there, but it never stops. You have to continue this on. It's like the discipleship process, right? Like, you have to keep doing it, and that's the whole point. It's not just about getting the new students. It's not about entertaining, having fellowship for the current students. It's not about having a worship service. It's not about like, oh, I prefer the worship services and the Hillsong stuff. No, it's about building disciples, and all these things are opportunities. So just like a marketer will use this free opt-in offer, a lead magnet, and then they go into the tripwire, which in all these things to build to get to the cell. Your cell is a disciple, not a butt in the seat, not a kid who raises their hand during worship, not a kid who goes on a missions trip, not a kid who doesn't graduate from their faith after and they move their butt from your seat to your senior pastor's seat. Your cell is a disciple. And we have to use all these things. And guess what? A lock-in is a tool. And you know, when you have a hustler mentality, I mean that in a good way, like you're hustling, you're getting out there, you're making those connections, it's a very powerful tool. Because think about it, if you do these lock-ins, you get even that one student, you have a couple, whatever, let's say you get one student re-engaged and one new student every time you do a lock-in. You do that once a quarter, you're going to start growing. Okay, I hope you got something out of that. I know it was very ranty this time. I tried to clear it up with a little bit of, leveling out that tactic and jump right back into rant again. But I hope you really got something out of this. I hope I've inspired you, even if it's not to do lock-ins. Maybe you're a diehard anti-lock-in. I hope I at least inspired you to get out there and put the work in to make those connections with students with other tools. You just don't happen to like this tool, that's fine. Go find another tool that's going to work to pull them in. And yeah, do that. And then while you're at it, subscribe up so you can get future videos. And then we'll all be happy, right? You just need my next video because it's going to be awesome. All right, thank you once again so much for watching. You guys are amazing. I love reading your comments. Keep it up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.